we are going to be getting closer as we're going to the month. And it's already the 17th already. So here the 25th, we're supposed to be having a live event in Spanish, 6 p.m. And then on the 26th, on Thursday, we'll be having our English seminar. And for you guys in the Lubbock area, you can come here and be here in person. And or live stream. We'll be Zoom live streaming that as well. All month, we're talking about goals, goal setting, achieving, mental mindset, mental awareness, because that's all we've got. Intelligence is all that a man or a woman could be. And it's what our intelligence is capable of, normally what we do. As individuals, we try to individualize ourselves. We begin to aspire and want to become more, to do more, to have more. At the same token, you're normally going to do what you know how to do. And really, when we get to the point, we get to the extension of our intelligence, of what we think it's possible, of what our self-image thinks is possible, normally people stop. So it's really about understanding that your higher personality is really what takes you beyond and allows you to accomplish the things that you desire, that you want to build, you want to create. And it's about using those abilities that you really didn't learn growing up. School, they taught us memory, and the majority of the people did not go beyond their memory. Culturally, we grew up in a society, in a year, in a time, in a town, city, certain geography. That's what we took on. We took on all of those ideas, and then we started to create our world. Some of you went to school. Some of you went to college. Some of you got a degree. And as you went through that process, you were learning to adapt. You were learning more about yourself. You're learning more about different people's qualities, different people's aspirations, different people's ideas. And school taught us how to, I would say, get an overall knowledge, not directly specialized and directed to definite ends, but more of an overall knowledge, and then how to use our memory. But there are 6 higher faculties that we didn't really develop within ourselves that would actually teach us how to go beyond. And when we look at the greatest people in the world today, the people that really shook things up, the people that left legacies, those people were operating differently. Look at people that changed the world, that have brought different things into the world. We consider them geniuses. And a genius is something that the name that we give to an individual that is truly just thinking beyond the average people that are around. You might laugh at that and say, well, wait a minute. Well, a genius is somebody that is thinking of ideas, and they're going beyond the common people that are around. And some of those geniuses are years ahead of their time. And what they're doing is they're using the higher faculties. They're using their imagination. Where else would they get the ideas? Imagining beyond. They take their memory, use what they can of it, and then they imagine beyond. And as they imagine beyond, they've got to be going somewhere. The reason they go there and there's a place, it's because they're selecting images in their mind. They're selecting ideas, and then they're traveling beyond space and time, and they're going there on purpose. And by law, our abilities are expressed to a higher degree. We begin to create a formulate ideas. And then this great formulator brings the ideas back down, and then he or she puts them together on land. As they put it together, they assimilate, and they give birth to a new world, a new era. Now, not too many people do this. How is it they're tapping into this intelligence and getting the ideas? They're going beyond the rational mind. A lot of people say, wow, let's be realistic. I am. I'm truly being really realistic. That's why the 1 to 3% earn what the 97 to 98% of people do. 97, 98% of society work for the 3%. And if you don't believe I'm right, look it up. Everything I say, look it up. And you're going to find out that I am fairly accurate. I know I've been studying this for a long time. Now, I wanted to be great. I wanted to be great. I wanted to be great at what I did. I've always wanted to be great. I've always had this impulse to whatever I was doing, to do the best I could and to continue to grow and build on that. If you begin taking on that quality, before you know it, there's nobody around. Why is there nobody around? Because the majority of people conform. They don't stick to one idea. They don't work to that idea, to that definite end. They don't work towards mastering it. They normally look around and they see what everyone else is doing. And they accept, and then they conform. But even those people that do that, eventually, they begin to want more. So it's this process that we call goal setting. Naturally, spiritually, we're goal-seeking organisms. We always want more. We want to achieve more. We want to jump higher, run faster. We want to experience something new. So by law, natural law, spiritual natural law, your spiritual essence is always wanting to stretch. It always wants to do more, have more. Somewhere in between your logic, your imagination, your spirituality, somewhere in between this whole process we call life, your programming, your habits, your behaviors, your intellect, your old self-image, the old you, your personality, somewhere in between all this is you. And you rarely look beyond what you are. You think that you look towards your intelligence and you think that's it. I'm here to tell you, you can change it. I'm also here to tell you that you can release genius at any moment as well. You're just never trained to do that. We're really never trained to use the higher faculties. What is the higher faculties that take us beyond? Perception, right? You've got to change your perception. What do we change your perception on? Well, very first thing, ourselves. The situation we're in. Look, observe. Use your imagination after that. What would I like to see? How would I like to be? Reason. Reason with what? Your own intellect. Reason with your memory. Reason with your imagination. When we come to the will, we can change our perception. We can use our imagination, come up with new ideas, put them together to definite ends. Think of the definite end. Continue, put them together to devise a plan. You're using the will to hold the images that you're wanting to work with. Nobody ever showed us how to focus to one idea. But as you focus and you use your will is your ability to select images, and you hold that and you keep tuning in with your imagination on what it is that you want, how you're going to accomplish this. And then you use this intuition. Intuition is automatic. It's feedback. It's feedback because you first started to imagine beyond where you are. You decided to take your mind to somewhere, someplace. And the intuition is the feedback. It's just telling you what you need to do, how you need to do it, the way you need to do it, who you need to surround yourself with, where you need to go look for the information. These higher faculties is what you should be working on, developing. And again, if you don't have them developed, you've got to start with whatever you have, where you're at. Today, this morning. Why would I say this? Because if you don't, nothing changes. One of the biggest things that really impacted me was the change had to be in me, and with whatever I had, with whatever I could do today. That's how I changed. I did not have the money. I did not have what the average individual thinks of the skills. I did not have any of the things that normally an average individual will wait to have to get started. I did not have the experience. I started right with what I had. And I began to act towards my vision, towards my dream, towards my goal. And that is exactly what you will have to do. If you don't have the money, you were never meant to have the money. If you don't have the time, you're not meant to have the time. You don't have this and that and the other. Start immediately. Sit down and begin to think. And you say, that's it. I'm telling you exactly that's it. Majority of people don't sit down and think. And they're going to sit down and think through the process till they figure it out. And they're not going to get up till they do. They're not going to get up till they made a permanent decision, a definite decision. And they're going to think, which means imagine. They're going to imagine beyond where they're at. I'm going to play a video here. Put a little bit of Bob in here. I went in and worked with Bob on purpose. I wanted to learn how to communicate and teach the way he did. I knew that he'd been studying this information for a long time. And he had worked at developing a lot of people. I'm going to play this video. Take notes, and we'll come back to what we're going over.
Anyway, they said what we should do is set up a group.
Move this, I accidentally hit it.
Hard to get to where we are, and it may seem like a very good place to be. The problem with this is that once we stop reaching, stretching, seeking, and risking, we actually stop growing. Ray goes on to say, the comfort zone frame of mind is settling for what we are today. That may be fine today, but without continued growth, and I believe this is the key to line coming up, we're now all we're ever going to be. Now think of that. You're all you're ever going to be. Man, that's disturbing. Now for me, that would be a fairly disturbing thought. He went on to say, if you're in a comfort zone, beware. The danger of a comfort zone is that it doesn't hurt. It may even feel good. Many take that to mean it's a good place to be, but it is not. A comfort zone may be what is holding you back from real growth, real accomplishment, and your potentially exciting and rewarding future. Now, I've mentioned if you're not going in one direction, you must by law be going in another direction. You're either creating or you're disintegrating. Whenever we hear a person say, I like it just the way it is, we know that person is advertising their ignorance of a very basic law of life, because absolutely nothing stays where it is. Well, that's so.
I'm going to rewind this again. And again. When you're listening, really it's when you're hearing. And every time you catch something that grabs your attention, you go on a thought trip. And as you're going on a thought trip, imagining beyond, you grabbed a word that took your attention, you grabbed it, you went on a thought trip, he's still speaking. You're missing information. That's why it's so important to keep repeating, rewind, repeat, rewind. What am I getting out of this? What am I missing? We're going to play this again.
Bob Riggs wrote this. He said, many of us are pretty comfortable in our life. We've got a reasonably good income. The mortgage is paid. Food is in the fridge. We've got a nice warm bed to sleep in. And everything seems to be floating along just fine. And you know, a person in that position could very easily think, why would I want to do anything to change this? Well, we found that if your life is not going in one direction, it absolutely by law must be moving in another direction. And Riggs is talking about that here. He said, many of us have established a comfort zone in our lives. He said, we're just coasting along, taking the line of least resistance, just getting by. This is a very common and understandable attitude. We've all worked hard to get to where we are, and it may seem like a very good place to be. The problem with this is that once we stop reaching, stretching, seeking, and risking, we actually stop growing. Rick goes on to say, the comfort zone frame of mind is settling for what we are today. That may be fine today, but without continued growth, and I believe this is the key to line coming up, we're now all we're ever going to be. Now think of that. You're all you're ever going to be. Man, that's disturbing. Now for me, that would be a fairly disturbing thought. He went on to say, if you're in a comfort zone, beware. The danger of a comfort zone is that it doesn't hurt. It may even feel good. Many take that to mean it's a good place to be, but it is not. A comfort zone may be what is holding you back from real growth, real accomplishment, and your potentially exciting and rewarding future. Now, I've mentioned if you're not going in one direction, you must by law be going in another direction. You're either creating or you're disintegrating. Whenever we hear a person say, I like it just the way it is, we know that person is advertising their ignorance of a very basic law of life, because absolutely nothing stays where it is. Disintegrating. Whether we hear a person potentially exciting and rewarding future. Now, I've mentioned if you're not going in one direction, you must by law be going in another direction. You're either creating or you're disintegrating. Whenever we hear a person say, I like it just the way it is, we know that person is advertising their ignorance of a very basic law of life, because absolutely nothing stays where it is. Well, that's so true. Now, you know, we were studying touching lately, and it's so good. I've been talking to a couple of people lately that were letting the incidental really start to control them instead of the essential. And I think you have to study this for a little while before you can, just like that, say, is it incidental or is it essential? But if you do study it for a while, which I've been doing for a long while now, you're going to get that very quickly you'll be able to differentiate between the incidental and the essential. It's the essential that's going to take you where you want to go. It's the incidental that takes heat off. It's the incidental, if we start looking after it, that, you know, maybe make it easier for us. The essential doesn't make it easy. The essential makes it difficult. See, the essential is what keeps you growing, keeps you going off where you've never been. And if you're not going where you've never been, then you're staying where you are. You're not going anywhere. And that's a bad deal. Now, there's two things that we were working on. We were working on what Neville was pointing out here. He said, determined imagination, thinking from the end, is the beginning of all miracles. I'm going to suggest that you really build an image of how you want to see you. And when I say that, I think of myself. I was driving the car, and I was shy. And I was all by myself, so I could be the greatest speaker in the world, you know. And I'd be driving the car and I'd be having my hands going and I was, you know, and I'd be at a stoplight and I'd notice there's somebody looking at me thinking, what the hell are you doing? And I'd be a little embarrassed, even although I was in the car by myself, that somebody caught me doing this. Well, you know, we hear of people doing that. We hear of people talking in the mirror. We hear of people doing things, and we think it's so silly. Why would we think it's silly? Well, we think it's silly because 90-some% of the population don't do it. Now, you see, if you see a great big crowd of people going that way and only one or two going that way, you know damn well those 1 and 2 are probably in for trouble. I mean, they couldn't all be wrong, but historically, they always have been. The large group of people, historically, have always been wrong. But there's so many of them, I mean, it's so convincing. Listen, if you're going to win the way you're capable of winning, you're not going to go with the crowd. Eagles don't flock. Sparrows do. Keep that in mind. Convincing. And 2 are probably in for trouble. I mean, well, we think it's silly because 90-some% of the population don't do it. Now, you see, if you see a great big crowd of people going that way and only 1 or 2 going that way, you know damn well those 1 and 2 are probably in for trouble. I mean, they couldn't all be wrong, but historically, they always have been. The large group of people, historically, have always been wrong. But there's so many of them, I mean, it's so convincing. Listen, if you're going to win the way you're capable of winning, you're not going to go with the crowd. Eagles don't flock. Sparrows do. And we think it's so silly. Caught me doing this. You know, I'm going to suggest that you really build an image of how you want to see you. And when I say that, I think of myself. I was driving the car, and I was shy. And I was all by myself, so I could be the greatest speaker in the world, you know. And I'd be driving the car, and I'd be having my hands going, and I was, you know, and I'd be at a stoplight, and I'd notice there's somebody looking at me think, what the hell are you doing? And I'd be a little embarrassed, even although I was in the car by myself, that somebody caught me doing this. Well, you know, we hear of people doing that. We hear of people talking in the mirror. We hear of people doing things, and we think it's so silly. Why would we think it's silly? Well, we think it's silly because 90-some% of the population don't do it. Now, you see, if you see a great big crowd of people going that way and only 1 or 2 going that way, you know damn well those 1 and 2 are probably in for trouble. I mean, they couldn't all be wrong, but historically, they always have been. The large group.
Now, I rewinded that a couple of times so that you were more aware. And also, what else did you pick up? And every time I rewind it, you pick something else up. And every time I rewind it, you see something different. Every time I rewind it, you're thinking something different. Why is that happening? Because intelligence never sits still. So important. Intelligence never sits still. Your mind is perpetual transmutation of thought energy, and it never stops. You go to bed, and it's still working. You wake up, it's working. You're not paying attention, it's still working. Your subconscious is always running. And at every point, it's a different point. At every point, it's a different idea. And every time you analyze the same idea, different points of view, you have a different perception. Remember at the very beginning, I was talking about changing our perception? Why would I say these higher faculties? And if you really want to tune into these higher faculties and you want to use something that's going to take you beyond what you are, you need to tap into the higher faculties. Perception. You're in the world from different states. You're in the world from different states, different consciousness. When you can grab your perception, when you can grab your intelligence, you'll be able to perceive something different. Some of you may be saying, what is he talking about? When you can take a hold of your intelligence, if you can take a hold of the mind and guide it as you will, you'll begin to tap into something uncommon. If you can grab your attention, you can grab your awareness and control your intelligence, the degree of intelligence you will begin to express will be something different. Bob's talking about incidental, the essential. The incidental is what's happened. All results, all around us, written in results. The report card, the balance sheet, the car we drive, the house we live in, the relationships we have, all incidents, all intelligence, all incidents, but they're all intelligence. Who brought all those things around them? Who was thinking? Who was imagining? Who was deciding? The essential part was this magical mind that we rarely take control over. Normally, it's just moving. Build an image of the way you want to see yourself. When you start to build an image of yourself and the way you want to see yourself and the way you want to live, you're looking at the intelligence. You're becoming more aware of yourself, from yourself to yourself. And I said at the very beginning, the issue was the intelligence, your level of awareness. He also said, if you're not growing anymore, you've gone as far as you could ever go. You are all you'll ever have. What is he talking about? Your intelligence. And he talked about ignorance. Ignorance is merely not understanding. If you think you're going to conform and you're going to stay right where you're at, you're showing your ignorance. Nothing ever stays. The laws create or disintegrate. The worst part about the comfort zone is when it feels good. When it feels good. Build an image of the way you want to see yourself. Then he's talking about these individuals that look in the mirror and they practice being something different. They look, they build the self-image. They're seeing what they want to see. They're imagining what they want to be. They're studying other people. They're studying other things. They're using affirmations or they're repeating things. They're continually tapping on the door of what? Their intelligence. Why? That's the only thing that could ever change. I would ask people for years, you want to get up at 4:30, 5? Meet at Starbucks? No, I don't want to do that. You get up every morning to work on you, you're tapping on your intelligence. You're changing the way you think. You're observing your own thoughts. You're becoming more aware of yourself. You're becoming more aware of the thing that has you stuck. Then you're looking towards new information to take you beyond. All those people, majority of them are all still there. In fact, I'd be willing to say 99% of them. I had to go far, far away to find people that were willing to work on themselves. I found people like me. And those people weren't doing normal things anymore either. You see, we're so used to being normal and doing what the crowd does. Do as they do, act as they act, talk as they talk, walk as they walk, follow the leader. And we didn't know that we were following the wrong leader. If 97% are going in the wrong direction, chances are you've been following the wrong leader. 97%. And he even said it. History has shown that the crowd is going in the wrong direction. History has shown that. I don't have to see it. He didn't have to say it. Research it. Look it up. Your way of thinking, chances are it's going in the wrong direction. And if you conformed, maybe you were going somewhere different. Maybe somewhere along the way something pulled you back in. Something stuck you in, and here you lost it again. You don't know what it is. I know what it is because we've been studying the mind. And the only thing that a man is mind. Several times I say, I'll talk to people. Some people are ready. Majority are not. Majority are not ready to come in. And it's not really about the money. We charge. We charge good money for what we do. Why? Because we know the value. Why? Because we also know if you pay attention. It's so important. If it costs, if it hurts, you're going to do whatever it takes. I've heard, I don't have the money, and yet they'll still earn the same amount of money, and they'll blow it away on things that are not going to change their reality. I've heard this is more important at the moment. What they didn't understand is that the mind was the only thing that could take them further than what they are. They're not going to change. And you're still going to say, I'm going to change, and then you're trying to force it. You can never outperform the self-image. You can try. It's like having a high-powered boat. And you leave all the weights tied to it. You can rev that engine as fast as you want and go nowhere. Why? Because the intelligence, you're working with you. The problem are not the things outside of you. Those are the incidentals. Results all around you. You missed, it's the intelligence that's creating the results. The problem is not what you don't know. That would save you. Too many people are not willing to go learn what they don't know. They're not willing to adapt, to change habits and behaviors. They're not willing to go learn something new. They're not willing to go into the unknown to go learn something different. They want to keep doing things that they know how to do. You keep using your memory hooked up with your personality. It just keeps on producing the same personal reality. Personality, personal reality. You're trying to change life with the same intelligence that created everything you have already. That's the problem. You just figure it out. You've got. Your intelligence is all you'll ever have if you're not willing to upgrade, if you're not willing to change, to work on that intelligence. And it's all about being aware. There's so many people around the world that are not even aware. How can you break out of a prison you didn't even know you're in? We teach this information with goals. I started to change because I set a goal. I used to work for peanuts as a young man. And I worked hard. I was hard at work. But if I would have figured out, and I did a couple of years later, if I would have been working just as intensely on working on my mindset, I would have got to where I wanted to go faster. That's the only thing that I could have changed. When I set a goal that was beyond what I knew how to do, I began to find the resources that I needed to have. When I set a goal that was beyond what was normal, I started to do things that were not normal. We're not normal, nor do I want to be normal. I'll never want to be normal because I know what they get. I don't want to be common. I don't want to be common. I don't want to do common things at common hours because then I'm going to get what common people have. If you're tired of being common, if you're tired of being normal, living a normal life, a common life, you got to do something completely different. Uncommon people do things at uncommon hours, and therefore they receive uncommon results. 97, 98. That means even the people that are educated are going in the wrong direction. I've seen people with books of knowledge and go nowhere fast because it doesn't have to do with your intelligence. It has to do with your awareness. It has to do with your vision. Somewhere along the line, you weren't envisioning going very far, were you? The vision makes a man what he is, the woman what he is. If you don't have a great vision, and you cannot see yourself in that great vision, you're going to go back to your visions. You're going to go back to your ideas. You're going to go back to your intelligence, and that becomes reality. If we don't have great visions, if we don't see ourselves as great, if we don't see ourselves in the business, in the sales position, in the business position, we can only be what we are. What those images mean. You are working with an image. I was working with an image. I went to the jobs I went to. I went to impoverished jobs because I had a impoverished mentality. I went to act impoverished and find impoverished jobs. I was working with a vision. Young man was working with a vision. I was working with a vision. And then the vision led me to experience what I needed to experience. To what? To learn what my mind was doing. How many of you are out there right now that don't understand that your mind is working with images, and your mind has taken you to where you're at today? And if your mind cannot expand any further or see yourself doing anything further, your body will never move in that direction. Because the body is simply an instrument. The mind is the movement. The body moves. The mind is what thinks. The body acts. What do we need to understand here? You are all you will ever have. And if you are not working on your intelligence, if you're not working with your higher faculties, working on developing those higher faculties, just think about that, 97, 98%. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing if that's the way you want to live. But this is not for normal people. We're not teaching this for normal people. We're teaching this for people that want to be great, that know that they're great, that are ready and willing to be great. I don't teach this for normal people. I teach this for the individual that is inspired and sees more in themselves and ready to express it. I've worked with people with very little money. And I've worked with people playing with billions of dollars. millions of dollars. We're all the same. We all need to be ready to grow. It's the secret to life. We were never meant to be human doings, human doing this, human doing that. We were meant to be human beings. A being is somebody that's becoming something more, evolving, growing, stretching. Human beings, being quite something further than what they were. Never human doings. Those people falling in the assembly line. Do this and do that. If you're tired of that, if you're tired living a 6 to 6 job, maybe 6 to 8 job, maybe you're in the 8 to 5 job. You know, one of the biggest failures in society today is really teach families this information. Did you know that your strategy from start was wrong? When it comes to earning money, I want you to rewind all this. Write your notes down. Get a better understanding of what I'm saying, what we're saying, what Bob's been teaching. Your strategy from go was wrong. 98% strategy to earn money, their money earning strategy is trade their time for money. Trade their time for money. You run out of time, you can never earn any more money. You're stuck. How many people saying, I'm ready for TGI Friday. I'm ready to be off, to experience myself, to experience my results, to experience my mindset that brought these results, to experience all the actions that I did from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. All my time soaked up in a job that was going nowhere, so that I can get an hourly job, so I can get a salary job. You'll never change the outcome because you ran out of time. You're trading your body by the hour. If it's salary, it's still by the hour. At the end of the week, you're going to wind up in the same place, week after week, month after month, year after year. The strategy was wrong to begin with. That's called the will to fail, the will to failure. You didn't even know. The will is your ability to select images. And if you want to go beyond, you just went into the will to failure because you cannot go beyond, because you cannot earn any more money, because you ran out of time. Strategy was wrong from the start. We didn't know. 98%. Their money earning strategy is to trade their time for money. We didn't know any better. Ran out of time. If you're looking for more of this information, you want to learn more, you're ready to grow, ready to make a decision, go to our website, send us a message, get started. We've got these classes that we do Monday through Friday. And then we have our Creator's Lifestyle and Business Matrix programs. And we do those every Saturday. If you're ready to invest in you, make a decision. We've got programs running year-round. 25th and 26th, we do live seminars for you guys to be here. I also have this Creator's Lifestyle. We're kicking that off. You guys ready to get involved in it? You'll have a program, 12-month program, to learn about the mind, get started with how to advance your mindset, how to change your mindset. If you're spending $200 a month on things that don't serve you, not going to take you anywhere, we've developed a class on purpose, $200 a month that you can jump into, get started. You'll have these classes, and you'll have once a week, you'll have a live mentorship with us. And we'll help you get started. But you've got to start somewhere. You've got to start with what you have. Get started. It's your life, your choice. And it could be so much better. Everyone have a wonderful day.